things like this that we grew up with. I can remember my father and my grandfather and others saying things that were wounding. And honestly, in our marriages, we don't understand how to speak and how to disagree in an agreeable manner. We don't have to say things that are intended to hurt. There's a way to disagree, and there's a way to argue in a way that is not vicious. And I'm telling you, before we get in an argument and in a disagreement, we better check ourselves before we wreck ourselves, because once you say something, you can't get it back. And so once the wound is there, how do you unwound it? Right? And so a man's stomach shall be satisfied by the fruit of his mouth, and from the produce of his lips he shall be filled. Death and life are in the power of the tongue. God's given us authority to speak death and life. And I'm asking you to speak life. And so I'm asking you to speak life into your husband, life into your wife, life into your father, your mother, your sons, your daughters, your friends, because you can rebuild somebody by encouraging them. The term encourage comes from the Greek term that means to edify, to build up. And so one of the things that I've learned in my marriage as well as my children is the power of my words. The words of the people you respect the most have the greatest impact. And so some of you heard me speak a couple weeks ago about something my father said to me, how that wounded me. Why? Because I loved him so much. He was my hero. Well, it's the same thing when we're married or it's a parent. If you tell your child how that they're useless, that they're stupid, and that was a big thing where I grew up. If you did something, that you shouldn't do as a kid, oh, you're so stupid. Hey, dummy, all this kind of stuff. That stuff starts to build that into your psyche. And so when I became a young father, what do you think I heard? And even I got saved before my son was born, but this stuff doesn't wash off like that. And so I was used to my father talking to me like that and hearing other people's fathers talking to them that way. And so when my son becomes old enough to talk and do stuff, don't be stupid. Don't be dumb. There's a smarter way to say it. Words matter. And you can't undo the harm. But you can repent. And so we can't change the past. We can repent of it, but we have all authority and ability to change the future. And so, my family was racked with divorce. My grandfather and grandmother got divorced with their 5 children, my father being the oldest of 5. All 5 children married, divorced, married, divorced, married, divorced. Why? No respect for one another. When I think of how my mother was treated, I could weep. She worked and kept the house and cooked dinner, and I don't ever remember a thank you. But I remember plenty of criticism.